Imagine a mother who, after losing her husband, made her son her only support in life. Everything was slowly becoming normal. But then one day the son's friend suddenly came to his house without informing him. Mother was only in a nightie. She panicked and began to cover herself hastily. The boy Dylan, who was his son's closest friend, he was about to turn around apologizing, but Mother stopped him and asked if he would like to have coffee. Only a few moments had passed when the son also came home, and it seemed as if Dylan was in a hurry to take care of everything. He smiled and said, "We will have coffee some other time," and suddenly he hugged his mother. At that moment, Mother completely froze. Something happened that day that triggered something inside him. But this wasn't just a coincidence. All this was part of some big planning. Because under the guise of this friendship, an old revenge was growing, and the only target of that revenge was his mother. Was it love, or was there a dark secret hidden behind that innocence? When Sharon's eyes opened, a wave of sadness washed over her. Her husband Mark was no longer in this world. He did not leave. Fate had taken him away. Mark was a famous writer. People were crazy about his writing. But a few weeks ago, one night while he was out walking, someone stabbed him. He could not escape. From that day onwards, the entire responsibility of the house and the son fell on Sharon's shoulders. Sharon composed herself and then reached to pick up her son, Anthony. He was the most affected by his father's death, so much so that he had stopped going to school. Every day Sharon tried to convince him, and finally that morning he agreed. Anthony started preparing for school, and Sharon also started preparing to leave for work. But as soon as she opened the door, she stopped seeing the scene in front of her. Someone was standing in his yard. That was Detective Behrens. Behrens was Sharon's school-time friend. Coincidentally, he also became the lead investigator of this case. Deep down, he liked Sharon. Sharon knew this too, but both of them never let this matter come to their lips. At this time, his entire focus was on Mark's murder case. Back at school, Anthony wasn't having an easy day. A boy named Brent was constantly harassing her, but then Dalen came there. It was a new admission, but he saw everything with his own eyes. Brent backed away slightly as Dylan approached. Dylan supported Anthony without saying a word. Gradually, Anthony started taking interest in school. He started liking a girl named Megan, but did not have the courage to talk to her. Dylan understood her hesitation and helped introduce her to Megan. Both friends had now made a plan to play football after school. Brent was also present on the ground. When he saw that Anthony was playing better than him, he felt jealous. Irritated and angry, he again started beating Anthony. But this time too, Dylan came immediately and saved him. After the match, both were sitting in the locker room. Anthony thanked Dylan and asked, "Why are you helping me so much?" Dylan was silent for a while. Then he said softly that he had come to know about Anthony's father, and he could understand because his own father was also no more in this world. This common problem of both of them turned into a deep friendship. For the first time, Anthony accepted someone as his best friend. When Sharon returned home in the evening, she saw that Anthony was not at home. His heart became nervous. She was about to look for him when the door opened. Anthony entered the house with some of his school friends. She said she had a small party at home and introduced Dylan to her mother for the first time. When Sharon saw that old smile on her son's face again, a sense of relief came into her eyes. It started getting dark. Anthony's friends reached home and all of them started having fun at the party. Sharon got busy with the kitchen work to prepare something for everyone. Dylan and the other kids were having a blast. Sharon was watching them silently. Suddenly his eyes met Dylan's. Everything seemed to stop for a moment. Then, as if to control herself, she turned her eyes away and got back to work. There was something about that boy's presence that was strange but also incredibly comforting. During the party, while Dylan was searching for the bathroom in the house, he accidentally went into Sharon's room. There his eyes fell on a family photo in which Mark was there. At that moment, Sharon came into the room. She was surprised to see Dylan there. When asked, Dylan told the truth. He had lost his way. Sharon remembered Anthony's words, how Dylan supported her son all the time. In that moment, Sharon's heart softened a little and she thanked Dylan. After the party was over, everyone left. There was silence in the house. Sharon sat down with Anthony for the first time and spoke her heart out. She said, "Now the situation has worsened. There is a dire need of money." He had taken a decision. "I will have to sell the old house." The same house that held so many memories of her and Mark. Now he had become a burden. Anthony immediately mentioned Dylan's name. said that his best friend is currently looking for a place. The next day, Dylan came to see the house. When he asked, "Why are you selling this house?" Sharon answered bluntly, "Money is tight and there's no other option left." "Her uncle might be interested in the house," Dylan said. Sharon felt a little relieved after hearing this. Dylan looked carefully at every corner of the house, in the same old house where Sharon and Mark once started a new life. Today, everything seemed like yesterday. Within a few days, the deal started moving forward. Here, Anthony became famous in the school. His performance got better day by day. Everyone started noticing him. But there was one person who did not like all this at all. Brent's irritation was evident on his face. One day he entered the dressing room. The intention was to spoil things for Anthony, but luck was with Anthony. Dylan had already locked his locker. Then Dylan grabbed her hand. Without any fight, he gave a clear warning to the brand. "Stay away. Next time I won't tolerate all this." Meanwhile, Sharon's troubles were showing no signs of abating. His real estate job was badly shaken. The tension was increasing, and now he started receiving strange mails and letters, threatening messages that hinted at some old secret. Such messages had come before also. She felt scared but remained silent. Her assistant Katie suggests she talk to Detective Barron, but Sharon hesitated. She didn't want to drag Barron's into her personal issues. At school, Dylan was constantly motivating Anthony to move on with Megan. Anthony liked her but couldn't muster the courage to talk to her. Seeing Anthony's hesitation, Dylan spoke to Megan himself and set a plan for the two. That day, Anthony borrowed Dylan's car for the first time to take Megan out. Dylan himself stayed home. Now only Dylan and Sharon were left in the house. Both of them sat together and knowingly or unknowingly, they started talking from their heart. Sharon told him something she hadn't told anyone in years. Her marriage to Mark, while seemingly strong, never had the connection she had hoped for. There was always an emptiness inside him that he buried. The night grew darker. Anthony and Megan were having a memorable evening out. They were happy, laughing, and the distance between them was slowly decreasing. There was a strange silence in the house. Sharon was in the bathroom. She went to take a bath to get relief from the fatigue of the whole day. Dylan was sitting outside. But there was something about the quiet atmosphere that drew him in. Sharon sensed his approach and gently interrupted him. But that night, everything seemed to stand still. Many emotions that had never been spoken suddenly came to the surface. A silent connection, an unspoken feeling, something that had never happened before. That night changed the boundaries between them in many ways. When Anthony returned home sometime later, everything seemed a bit strange to him. There was a strange silence in the house. He called out to Dylan. Dylan appeared, and Anthony's gaze seemed to sense something, as if there was something in the air that wasn't there before. Days passed and everything seemed normal, but the reality was something else. Dylan always looked well-dressed, smart and confident, but the house where he lived was very simple and plain, not at all like Anthony's house. Then a truth came to light that shook everything. All the threatening emails and letters that Sharon was receiving were sent by Dylan himself. He also befriended Anthony with a purpose. Here at school, Brent stops Megan and warns her. "Do not trust Dylan. Something is not right in it." Megan took his words lightly, but Brent didn't stop. He went straight to Dylan and said, "I know everything about you, and I will tell everyone soon." Dylan didn't answer, but the discomfort in his eyes was clear. Now he had very little time. He quickly began to formulate a move, a game in which he even included Anthony. A few days later, while playing in the school playground, Dylan deliberately injured his hand and, as planned, immediately blamed Brand for everything. Anthony, without thinking twice, believed Dylan's words, testified against him, and reported him to the school and the police. Considering the case serious, Detective Wares himself went to the school. All the evidence seemed to be against Brent. Soon he called Sharon and told her that Brent had been suspended. The school finally expelled him. Sharon returned home with Anthony, unaware of the truth. That evening, Dylan's message arrived. I was called to meet at the old house. Sharon was confused with emotions. Still, she went to meet him. The closeness between them increased once again, but they did not know that a third person was silently recording everything. The next day, Megan showed Anthony a video, something that made his soul tremble. In that video, his mother and Dylan were in a situation that should never have been seen. All of that was recorded in the old house. Secretly, Anthony felt broken inside, but what Megan told after this was even more horrifying. He told me he had confronted Dylan last night. Dylan invited her to meet him, but at the same time he quietly invited Sharon there as well. Dylan had deceived everyone, and the most surprising thing was that his real name was not even Dylan. Anthony seemed to fall silent at that moment. His world had slipped away. Meanwhile, Sharon received another shock. That video of her and Dylan had now gone viral on the internet. In the midst of the humiliation and shock, she received a text from Dylan. Was called again to meet at the old house. This time Sharon sensed something was wrong. She did not remain silent. He told Detective Warnens everything before leaving. When she arrived home, Dylan was already there, quiet but dangerous. Now his face was completely revealed. He revealed his true identity, that he was the son of a man with whom Sharon had once had a relationship. But when Sharon left him, the man was heartbroken and one day committed suicide. Dylan had been holding this pain inside him for years, and now he confessed with the same cold ruthlessness. He was the one who killed Mark. He then pointed a knife at Sharon and said if she did not kill herself, he would kill Anthony, whom he had already caught. Sharon refused, and then everything changed in an instant. Broken from within but strong from outside, Sharon turned the knife on Dylan. He swiftly attacked her. She injured him and ran away. Just then, Detective Behrens arrived and quickly found Anthony and Megan. Both were tied up but alive. But the story was not over. Dylan returned once again, this time with even more dangerous intentions. There was one final confrontation, and it was in that confrontation that Megan showed courage. He stopped Dylan and ended it once and for all. Everything stopped. For the first time, Sharon forgave herself and held the hand of the person who stood by her at every turn. Detective Behrens. Some wounds never heal, but some relationships soothe them like balm. Now the house, which was once just a burden of memories, had become a witness to a new beginning. Sometimes life betrays us the most deeply, where we trust the most. But that same betrayal becomes the beginning of a new chapter. This story ended here, but the journey is still left. See you in the next story with a new mystery. Till then, take care and remember that what you see is not necessarily the truth.